for government overreach has increased exponentially because of all of the different departments that are involved.
Not only that, can you imagine the conflicts of interest that we'll take on? And this is definitely for profit. There's no
Absolutely.
doubt about it. And of course, as you were saying, this is going to involve multiple public-private partnerships.
Yes.
You know, when something's for profit, our children are going to lose. And
Absolutely.
we're already seeing that in most of our charter schools.
Absolutely.
They're just
Yes.
sweeping things under the rug because
Yep.
the only thing they have to do is show they perform, and they don't,
No.
and they're for profit. So
Yes.
yes,
And you're right. And they're not sunshineable because they're private businesses. I recently, just last week, had a parent reach out to me whose child was enrolled in a local charter school in a neighboring county. And this particular family's child had an IEP. And this parent was telling me that their child was not being served. And of course, they had reached out to the board of this particular charter school because that's something important for people to understand too. These charter schools have appointed boards, they're not elected boards. So the charter school decides who's going to sit on that board and they appoint those people. So this parent had gone to the charter school board and had tried to have a conversation with them, and they basically told the parent that it was not happening and would not admit that the child was not being served. So then the parent went to the local school board. Well, the local school board has no control over charter schools or charter boards. And so I was telling the parent, well, you do understand that your local school board has no authority over that particular charter school. Even though it is supposed to be a public school, it is not. It is managed by that particular appointed board. And this local school board in this parent's county said to this parent, there isn't anything that we can do about that. We don't have any authority over that, and just wash their hands of it. And so I think that that's what people need to understand. They've been sold a false narrative that charter schools are the first leg of school choice. So
Right.
if you are yes, so if you're supporting charter schools, you are supporting school choice. And I think parents need to understand that that is not going to be the answer to the educational issues in our nation. And as a matter of fact, it is creating its own set of issues because now we're tasked with funding multiple systems.
Yes, and there's different types of charters in Georgia. I'm not sure about Tennessee, but we have three different types of charters here. And you're right. To me, if you look at the picture of school choice, which we're all for school choice, right? We're not for government school choice.
Correct. That's right.
And I see the charters as the glue that's going to hold it all together. Once all our homeschoolers and our private schools have been sucked into this um, public school arena, then the charter is really what's going to hold it all together. So they have to have charter schools to really completely accomplish what they're doing with school choice. And so I agree with you on that. And it's unfortunate that I know almost every state is working on a school choice bill. I have a friend that is, or was, she decided not to run again, a state school board member in Ohio.
Mm-hmm.
Once they passed school choice, all of their power was stripped. All
Yes.
they could do was licensure. So that tells you where this is going. It's all to be run.
Well, we passed it just this legislative session in Tennessee. And then, of course, during a special session that our governor had called, where he wrapped his school choice bill up in an omnibus bill, and it was tied to disaster relief for East Tennessee because he couldn't pass it, the legislative session before. So now that that has passed, now all of these other pieces of legislation that expand charter school control and their ability to operate are also being passed through the pipeline. And you said we all agree with school choice. Well, it's funny that you said that because clearly in Tennessee they do not. They only agree with government controlled school choice because the bill that we had drafted was true educational choice for parents. It just wasn't attached to government money. And that bill our House Republicans killed. And we used their wording against them. We said, you claimed when you were attempting to pass the school choice legislation, which did pass, that parents were the most equipped to educate their children, that parents were the most equipped to make decisions regarding their children's education, that you wanted to put parents in the driver's seat. But when we proposed a bill and it was sponsored and carried in both the House and Senate, you killed it. So, what you're telling people in Tennessee is, families, parents in Tennessee, is this: you only believe in school choice if the government is funding it. So, it's the government's version of school choice that you are for and that you promote. And of course, that is seemingly counter to what the Republican Party claims that they believe. And so I want to talk about that too, because Georgia is a Republican controlled state, correct? It's a red state. People like to say those are red states.
We'd like to say that, yes.
Yes. We say the same thing in Tennessee, and I'll use air quotes on that one because I think that we have proven that either conservatism doesn't mean the same thing we think it means, or these people have forgotten what it means. Either way, these are not initiatives that they're passing that are supposed to be in line with what conservatives believe. Right. So this bill in Georgia, it is it's the safety. It's called the school safety bill, but it's HB 268, correct?
Right.
And what is the Senate number on that bill?
Actually, the Senate and House worked together on that bill.
Okay, so it's HB 268.
Yeah.
So what you're saying is that Republicans voted for this in the state of Georgia.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Republicans passed this bill. They passed the first bill. Mental health is one of their biggest topics.
Yes.
So the biggest issues that they are working toward. And we know through these bills too, we're stigmatizing our children. As you said earlier, every child is being labeled. They're using that multi-tiered student system that used to be 4 levels and is now 3. So they got rid of the bottom level that were the children that didn't need anything. And now every child is going to be screened, which comes back to that universal screening. And again, to me, it goes back to control. We know